my loves. Welcome back to the Found Frequency Podcast, your space for that alignment, expansion, and of course, unstoppable energy. I am your host, Fallon, and I'm so excited to have you here today. I want to talk about something that I think a lot of you are going to resonate with, whether or not you're really ready to fully admit. Admit what I have to say to yourself, okay? I had this realization this week that kind of like gave me this like extra. I keep having these like big ahas. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that I'm I'm gonna share with you all very soon. But let's just say I'm in my own kind of process at the moment, and it was kind of one of those feelings of like, oh my God, I didn't really realize this, but I've actually never worked a 9 to 5 in my entire life. Okay. And it kind of started to like put together these puzzle pieces for me, like what I've done in my business and my way of life and my relationship to freedom, internal freedom. I'm so passionate about it. And my obsession, I do have a bit of an obsession with expansion these days. And all of it makes so much sense. And it's crazy because it's almost like my soul knew all of these things long before, my mind ever caught up to it. Okay. If I actually look back, okay, like, I've never followed the normal template. It's just hasn't been my journey. Okay. Even from the beginning, if we're talking like strictly like career, I worked for the Ritz-Carlton for a very small stint, which sounds fancy, but totally wasn't. But even that schedule, that was like holidays and weekends and like random nights. It just wasn't normal hours. Okay. And then somehow I ended up on a yacht for a decade or nearly a decade, which, was pretty epic in the sense of living on the ocean, crossing different countries, waking up one week in Italy, the next in Croatia kind of vibes. You did work insane hours, absolutely, but it was completely outside of the box, right? It wasn't 9 to 5 at all. And even though it was intense at times, there was still this element of freedom. There was this element of like being on the open ocean. Like my favorite time on the yachts was a crossing meaning like going from America to Europe. You're like 2 to 3 weeks at sea. It was an incredible time. Okay. And then, of course, after that, I moved to Australia, as we know, and I was surf coaching. I was a body worker. So shiatsu, zentai shiatsu therapy. I held health and wellness retreats, not wealth, but could be healing work, is a lot more of an adventure in my life. And then I did for one stint randomly end up working at a restaurant, which didn't last very long. As we know, my standards were growing. You can listen to a different podcast episode on that one. But then eventually, I found myself into the entrepreneur world, right? And it's almost like my soul this entire time has been designed around freedom, right? It's like I was always grasping for something different, even though I didn't consciously realize it. And if I'm being completely transparent here, there was a tiny fraction of time where it was kind of like this thought of maybe I should get a real job, whatever that even fucking means, because that's what all my peers are doing. That's what the masses are doing. That's what's considered normal. Like I definitely have never been considered a normal person. And as my life started becoming more, let's say, unrealistic, hence the group I just ran, Unrealistic on Purpose, or unconventional, one might say, it's like I started to almost feel like less relatable to my peers, right? Like maybe I was drifting a little bit too far outside of the lines, outside of, the box that people were in. But as we know, that didn't last very long. It was like a fraction of a second where I was like, ooh, should I look into this? And every time I really did try to imagine myself in a hyper structured life, it's almost like physically my body resisted it. Like it still happens. Like I've definitely fall down the path a few times where I'm like, let me just dip a toe here. And it's like, no, absolutely not. Like soul level, absolutely not. And I think a lot of women are experiencing this right now without even realizing it. It's almost like they think they're lazy or they think that they're unmotivated or they're broken or they're undisciplined or something, that their soul just isn't fitting into this box anymore, that their soul is rejecting it, right? But the interesting part, okay, is like, okay, it's what happens with your environment and what's around you. And like I said, I had that fraction of a second where I was like, what am I doing? When I entered my first business in entrepreneurship, I accidentally didn't even realize it, but because I thought I was like doing the wrong thing, I recreated this cage, this 9 to 5 cage. And I think a lot of women do this where they leave the normal system only to unconsciously rebuild it inside your business. If you're an entrepreneur, you could probably relate, where you start working like normal business hours. You really want these like structured days or rigid productivity or this perfect little like schedule that you see online. It's like wake up at this time, batch content, especially in their social media, this time of day, post at this hour, work in these little productivity blocks. And even though it's like technically that's selling like freedom, it's like I remember when I first started that my first journey was all about, without going too much into context, they kind of sold you on this free life, but it actually was like way more way more soul sucking than I realized. And the interesting thing is here is like when I started diving down to this, I got caught up in it for a minute. And I was like, this isn't like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not at all what I wanted. This is not like, basically, what I'm saying is, I've never wanted my life to be dictated by a clock, right? And it really kind of took me a while to unravel the guilt I had around that. It's like, well, I only worked, 5 hours today, or that person's still working, so I should still be working. That person's getting up at 4 a.m., so I should be getting up at 4 a.m. Or maybe I should be doing more. Like, surely there's more tasks to do. Or maybe I should just keep pushing, right? It's like, if I went to go do something nourishing for myself, which is always what you should do, like going simple, like going for a walk, or if you're by the ocean, going for a surf, or moving your body in any sort of way, or going to sit in the sun, just fucking 5 minutes in the sunshine. It was like I was feeling guilty for enjoying my life. I was feeling guilty for being present because we're told not to. Okay. It's like somehow being alive and inspired was less valuable than staring at a laptop exhausted for 12 hours. If you know, you know. I know so many women feel this because it all started to take shape when I started thinking about this recently. And it's like some mornings, okay, what I've been doing the last few months, and it's really been kind of working for me. So I definitely suggest you give it a try. Some mornings I do wake up and all I want to do is create for 4 hours. Like maybe I'm inspired by a book I read that night or something clicked and I wrote it down on my notes app, but I just want to go. I'm like awake and I'm ready to go and I want to charge through. Okay. Some mornings I'm slower. I want some sunshine. I want to listen to those birds. I'm in the mountains right now, but if I'm at the ocean, I usually, when we're in Mexico, I go for a dip first thing, slow coffee, slow music, whatever it is, right? I'm present in that way. Some nights I might get like a lightning bolt idea at 9 p.m. and then launch something the next morning. That literally just happened, unrealistic on purpose. I had this idea overnight and I was like, instead of sitting on this, trying to plan it, trying to make it perfect, I'm just going to fucking launch it and see what happens. And I'm going to build it as I go. It's like being so in your creative flow that like there really is no wrong way to do it. Or sorry, yeah, there is no right or wrong way to do it. You just go and you listen. That is self-trust, really. That is a self-trust muscle that I've built over time. But it's honestly, what I want you to understand is like what we think is maybe sometimes people being lazy, which I don't think is being lazy. I honestly think it's being present. I think it's being alive. Now, I'm not saying, honestly, when I'm tapped in, when I'm connected to source in whatever capacity you want to take that, when I'm more alive, when I'm more in my body is when my best work comes. Okay. Because it's not force, it's not pressure, it's not staring at a clock waiting to be done. Like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like, fuck, I'm clocking off, that kind of vibe. It doesn't go that way. And when something really kind of gets me where I'm like, okay, why does this feel so misaligned? What do? I get curious. I'm like, why are people following these rules? I don't understand. Like, who told you? Okay. So naturally, I kind of started to look at this whole 9 to 5 thing. Where did it even come from in the first place? And for any of you that don't know this, okay, I just read up on this because I was like, you got to be shitting me. The entire 9 to 5 structure, okay, that most people are still organizing their lives around, right, was created by Henry Ford in 1926 for fucking factory workers. In 1926, we are in 2026. That is 100 years ago. It was created 100 years ago for factory workers, and then later turned into federal law in 1938. Okay, so I'm sorry, but what are we doing? Still blindly organizing humans around life, around a template that was built 100 years ago for fucking industrial factory workers. Like, come on. I don't understand why more people aren't floored by this. Like, human beings are not assembly lines, right? Creativity doesn't move in perfectly hour blocks. Expansion doesn't happen when you start, a clock long enough. Like, this is not okay. Don't get me wrong. This conversation is not me at all saying don't work hard. It's not me saying that an entrepreneur doesn't fucking get down to it. But I would say heart led work definitely requires grit, right? You are courageous. You are devoted. Okay. It's devotion. You are consistent. You are resilient, but it's completely different. Why? Because it's heart led. It is connected to your soul, right? It doesn't feel soul sucking. It doesn't feel mind numbing. It doesn't feel robotic. It's like you actually want to pour into it from the like goodness of your heart. It's like oozing out of you. So you might actually work a 12-hour day, but it doesn't feel like that because it's not actually, it's almost like you're self-sourcing by pouring out of your soul. So it's not taking from you, if that makes sense, in the same way. It's like you want to stay up talking about ideas, right? You want to create because it's life force. That's kind of what I was getting at. I'm glad I looked at my notes. It is life force moving through you. It's a completely different thing. Okay. And the deeper I go into this work, because you're always on it, once you're on the growth journey, like there's no stopping it, right? This is life's work. This is part of the journey. You're going to constantly be learning, constantly discovering different things, and you just keep diving deeper. It's like you're almost more and more fascinated by it. It's an obsession for sure. But what I've realized is like we run our entire lives through clocks, not just the 9 to 5, not just the work structure, but like hours and days and calendars and schedules and deadlines and productivity trackers, right? Like somehow life can be fully measured inside these tiny little boxes that fucking humans made up, right? Like the way we think about time isn't actually how reality fully works, and I won't go crazy into a lesson here, but like evolution itself isn't one single clock, right? Ticking forward in some perfect linear fashion, in some perfect linear direction. It is literally the dance of all the variables at the same time together at once, which is crazy for the mind to comprehend, but it is energy, right? It's environment, it's consciousness, it's choice, it's movement, it's awareness, it's a fucking frequency, right? And that is hard for people to accept because it completely disrupts the way most of us were taught to think, right? Because we've become so fucking hyper fixated on linear time that like we forget that reality is way more expansive than that. Like it's way more expansive than what we can currently perceive, okay? What we see, honestly, is such a tiny, tiny fraction of what actually exists for us. And this is like why this conversation will never die for me and why perspective matters so very much. Okay. Because your perspective literally is shaping how you're moving through the world, like in every sense. What you believe is possible for you, what you notice around you, what you allow yourself to experience, what risks you allow yourself to take, what identities you embody in this lifetime. It's like that whole conversation where two people can have, live in the exact same world and experience completely different realities based on the lens in which they're seeing their own life through. I forget where I even saw it. It was like two twins, same dad, grew up completely different situation, but I won't go through that. But this is honestly why this work matters so much to me, why I even have this podcast, why I need to get it out into your ears so people can understand that it's like, once your perspective, once your way of viewing the world actually expands, like opens up, you cannot unsee it. Like it's like you can't learn something and unlearn it. It's there. So you kind of get to open up your mind and start to realize that it's like maybe life is not nearly as fixed as I thought it was. Okay. Maybe timelines are not as rigid as we were taught. Maybe reality is responding to who you are being, not just what you're mechanically doing. Okay. Sad truth of the matter is some people are never going to realize that. They're going to spend their entire lives trapped in a system that they've never consciously chose. They just fucking fell into it and never questioned it. Okay. They're like living by default instead of by their truth, living by inherited rules instead of their own self trust and their own intuition. And it breaks my heart. But what I have also discovered is it's like you can open the door for people, but you can't pull them through. It's like everyone's on their own journey. I think their own spiritual journey without them realizing it if they decide to tap into that. And we can show them and we can encourage them and we can inspire them and we can lead by example. But ultimately, you have to be the person that takes that next step and opens up your mind. Okay. I think what I've seen, at least in the coaching world, for as long as that I've been in it, so many women are trying to force themselves, right, into like systems that their soul was never designed for. There's this like huge thing about like femme rising and magnetism and all this beautiful stuff coming out because their soul is craving more. Okay, that's what it is. It's like we've normalized for so long living by templates instead of our truth. Okay, by being productive over being alive, right? By structure over our own self-trust, checking boxes over checking into our creative current. Okay. And I'm not saying structure is bad. We absolutely need the dance between the masculine and feminine. And that's going to be stronger in different seasons of our lives. Okay. It's always going to be fluctuating. It's not always one way or the other way. It's like the masculine creates the container, the feminine brings that life force. The masculine provides direction, the feminine provides movement. Okay. The masculine might ground things, the feminine is going to expand, right? That's how those energies work. We definitely need both. Okay. But the issue that I see is when we become hyper fixated on the control, which is again the cosmic joke. We can't actually control anything. So I don't know why we're trying. It's like there is no room left for the flow to come in, right? There is then no room left for your intuition. Then there's no room left for the magic, right? It's like structure without soul. It's a cage. It's a box. Okay. Freedom, as we know, as you'll probably know as you learn more about me, it's honestly been one of my highest values even before I knew that, right? Freedom is our liberation. Freedom in every fucking sense of the word. Internal freedom, I think, is most important first. And then obviously that's going to reflect in your reality. As we know, I love Alan Watts. And he kind of talks about like what did he say? A completely predictable future is already in the past, meaning like, what makes life beautiful is being present, is being alive for it, is embracing the mystery, okay? The spontaneity, the becoming, the unfolding. And if I really look back, my entire life has been showing me that, right? Going on adventures and traveling and, my deeper connection with the ocean and movement and creation and expansion. It's like my soul kept pulling me towards experiences that would crack me open, experiences that stretched my perspective far beyond what I originally thought life could be because I was going off what I was conditioned to believe, right? And I think why so many women feel this disconnect, they feel so disconnected. It's like it's even that whole conversation of, I don't know what my purpose is. Like everyone's got a purpose. We probably have multiple purposes during this lifetime, but you're so disconnected that it's going to be really hard to find it unless you create this connection again. It's like because you're not actually living your life, right? It's like you're living the version you were taught makes sense. a version that's in the realistic box, a version that's acceptable and it's predictable and it's safe. Meanwhile, your soul is like, what the fuck? Like, there is so much more for us to discover here. Please get out of the box. Please stop working a 9 to 5. Like, please go travel, right? And of course, this is where like identity comes in. There's a lot of factors here, okay? But for this conversation, the moment you hear this conversation and you recognize what's been happening and you realize like, hey, 9 to 5 life actually isn't for me. I also crave freedom. Like, who doesn't crave freedom, right? And you decide, you have this line in the sand moment that, hey, I'm going to choose a different life, right? But what happens when you make that decision? There's such a difference between like making a big decision, but then you have to follow through. And it's follow through meaning not just making the investment, not just moving to the country, but actually shifting your identity, shifting your conditions, shifting your patterns you've been in, or else you're just recreating the same life in a different location, if that makes sense. It's like, your conditioning panics when you choose a different life, as we know. Be responsible, get serious, follow the fucking formula, right? Get a stable job. What does that even mean? Tone it down. Why? Says who? I feel like if I really think about this, most people never stop long enough to question where those voices even came from in the first place. They just listen, right? It's like, who decided that formula? As we know, 9 to 5, Henry Ford, because he was building fucking cars. Okay. Why are we still following that? Well, I never followed it, but you know what I'm saying here? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, who decided life was supposed to look one way? We all live different lives. Let's all be different. Why not? Right? Who decided we were meant to spend the majority of our lives staring at clocks, waiting for freedom on the weekends? No, right? It's like, who decided burnout was a badge of honor? I definitely used to think that. And I definitely learned my lesson there. Okay. Who decided success meant it had to feel soul sucking? It's that whole like over bro mentality of like, just do it, keep going. So you have no life force left. Like, that is not, like I said, it doesn't mean that you don't work hard, but it's different when it's coming from your soul, right? Okay. It's like the older I get, the less bullshit I can tolerate. I can't believe I just said that. It's like the more I realize lives are built by women, like, okay, the most expansive spaces I've been in, it's like women are building these lives because they trust themselves more than they trust a template that's given them, right? They're willing to listen to their soul before the noise of society, right? It's like you're willing to disappoint your old conditioning to meet your future self. You're willing to kill your old conditioning to live in a more expansive version of yourself, right? It's like, it's not even like you're saying maybe there's another way. It's like you fucking know from a soul level there is another way, right? But yeah, it does require a little inner work, but who wouldn't want to do that work? Like, I don't even think work's the right word for it. Who wouldn't want to reach the depths of their soul? Who wants to live a shallow existence? Not me. It's like your reality can only expand to the level your identity feels safe sustaining. Okay, this is not a new conversation. So many women sabotage this freedom that they so crave. Well, like, it's like they're sabotaging it, but they're craving it at the same time. There's such a disconnect there. It's like your soul wants expansion, but the conditioning is still worshiping this false safety. Okay, I'm not even going to say it's safety. I'm going to say it's false safety. So you end up in this really weird space, this really weird in between, because it's like, unconsciously what you want, but consciously you're still choosing the opposite. So there's this incongruence, right? And it's like, I think about this maybe even the beginning of my journey. It's like wanting the extraordinary life while clinging to the familiar one. It's almost like someone who's like, okay, perfect example. Somebody in a 9 to 5, of course, a 9 to 5, who really does want to do more with their lives. They want to make a bigger impact. They want to help people. Maybe they want to work in the health industry or something, or wellness industry, let's say. But they never allow themselves enough space. They never allow themselves the permission to just try. I'm not saying every bold choice you make will be the right one, but at least you put your foot in the game. It's like, okay, perfect. You can't win the game, or you can't, if you're not willing to get in the arena, if that makes sense. You can't play the game. You can't, is this making sense? I feel like I'm going off on tangents now, right? It's like, I know this because I've gone through this myself internally, but it's like what I've recognized is every next level my life has required a different version of me, or a version of me to almost, I wouldn't even say die off. I would say like I let go of conditioning. People have this conversation about old self, new self. I like to say it's like your truest self, your soulful self. It's the person that's always been trying to come through you. And often we have these challenges and these opportunities that come up in life, and we're the person that can meet them. And it's just like the more I dive into this work, I'm like, how can everyone not feel this way? Or maybe they do, right? Or maybe they're just so conditioned that they don't know how to get out. And these conversations need to happen. I feel like, I definitely went through a people pleaser phase, an overworker. I was trying to fit myself into a system that was draining my life force, and it just never was going to work out, right? I had to be willing to let go of this false safety, or some might say this certainty, to let go of the certainty, to welcome in the uncertainty, to welcome in the magic, to welcome in the mystery, right? In order for my life to expand to a bigger capacity, I had to be willing to let go of the familiar, right? And honestly, obviously, this is exactly why I created Unbound. Because I feel like so many women are at this like critical point. It's like they're on their edge. It's not even that they are trapped by their circumstances, because honestly, I don't believe anybody is trapped by their circumstances. Like, I think we are, but most of the time, what it is that we are trapped by our identities and our beliefs and our conditionings and the emotional patterns that we have on repeat, and that we unconsciously keep choosing over and over again, right? But the second that we can take a moment and pull our power back in, we all have this self-sourced power. Okay. The second that we pull this power back in, everything changes. Why? Because you're not just living inside of reality, right? You have to understand that you are the creator and you're participating in it. Right. So by repeating patterns that you don't want to repeat, you're literally trying to create the same reality. Do you understand? Like, I feel like this is the most confronting conversation, yet the most liberating conversation at the same time, right? Unbound is honestly for the woman who, it's like she knows in her heart of heart she was made for a bigger life, but it's almost like she's caught at this like this conditioning. Like it's like she's afraid of the cage, to open the cage and actually like set herself free, right? She's still kind of up in her head more than she's in her soul and in her body, right? It's like she's done trying to squeeze herself into systems that suffocate her spirit, but she doesn't know what the next step forward is. Okay. I have created this program, not even program, energetic portal space, incredible transformational journey, let's say, for 6 months of identity expansion. Because I feel like identity, as soon as you kind of lock in this next thermostat level of your identity, that's when things start to unfold in your reality. Okay. Obviously, I'm all about energy, energetic expansion, matching the frequency of what you actually want in your life and bringing that into your life. There's nervous system work, there's self-trust, there's desire-led living. I've followed the desires as if they were my compass my entire life. Emotional freedom, my God. And learning how to build a life that actually feels like yours, that feels like your soul, okay? Not just one that looks good on paper, right? It's really for a woman who is craving support for her freedom, her internal freedom, her spaciousness. I would say tapping back into your creative current is one of my biggest kind of focuses, because that is what I feel like when you can tap back in and you're connected to your creative current, that's when you're creating the reality you actually want to create, right? You have more abundance, you have deeper self-trust. You're just living a wildly alive life, because by default, it's like your output. You can't help it, right? This room is really not about becoming someone else. That is not the way I operate. It's really returning to who you were before the world told you who not to be. Okay. As you know, it's a very special time right now. The founding round is open. So this is the first first round with my first set of women to get into this energy and this magic and co-create the space together. So I'm really excited for any of the women who are brave enough to choose themselves and to jump in that space. You can always DM me on Instagram at fallonmichaela.co. Just DM me the word unbound if you're just curious and you want to flirt with the idea. And I'm happy to send you over all the juicy details. Okay. So the conversation, to honestly close this off, because I feel like this was a pretty powerful one. And I don't even know. I just went off on so many tangents because I'm pretty passionate about it. It's like your soul has been trying to tell you something for a really long time. Okay. It's maybe in the discomfort you feel, and I want you to recognize, I guess, that there's not something wrong with you. But I feel like maybe you need to recognize that you were never made for the cage in the first place. Maybe your soul has been nudging you and quietly trying to pull you towards this freedom, this internal freedom, right? Towards expansion. I think we're all here to expand and towards a life that actually feels like yours. And honestly, I think the bravest thing that you can do is stop asking the world for permission to become who you already are. Okay. So I'm going to love and leave you ladies there. I trust this episode hit you in a few different angles, and I will catch you next week. Bye.